If I had to pick between Shopify and Amazon and which is most vulnerable, I would have to pick Shopify. Amazon's fortress is their market cap, their balance sheet, and their fulfillment capability. It is impossible to replicate the fulfillment capability that Amazon has, and it's not staying still. It would take $500 billion, which is actually not crazy in today's world, which is kind of funny. But I just don't think, I think if, let's say one of the hyperscalers or like a Google or an Anthropic or an OpenAI or a SpaceX, they have the ability to go spend $500 billion. But they're gonna spend that on spaceships, data centers, and GPUs. They're not going to spend it on fulfillment centers. So this is a huge asset that Amazon has that cannot easily be AI'd away. I spent a lot of time at Wall Street conferences, and the bear case on Shopify, this is not what I believe, but I want to make sure you understand it. The bear case on Shopify it goes as follows. If you really understand the Shopify financials, they have one part software as a service business, and one part, they're basically a financial technology company. And it's because they make a skim off the checkout. So when you're a Shopify merchant, you're using that Shopify Shop Pay and the Shopify checkout, they make money off that. Now you're invisible to it because they take your bulk transaction rate and get you a great credit card price. So you're actually a net beneficiary of that. But then on the back end, they mark up Stripe. They take that GMV and they make money from the postage if you use them for postage. They make money off everything. If you do buy now, pay later, they make a ton of money off that. So if you do cross-border trade, so there's like 16 different little ways they make a skim, is what we use in the industry. They make a percentage, an additional percentage from what you pay on the GMV you have flowing through that checkout. That's a big number, and it's pure margin. So if I'm Google or Anthropic or Shopify, or sorry, not Shopify, OpenAI, Shopify or Stripe, at some point the payment people want more margin. Your margin is my opportunity, is the famous Jeff Bezos quote. Someone is going to go look at that skim that Shopify is making and say, I want that skim. And that's the risk. So that's the bear case, is that the checkout, the Shopify checkout in an agentic world gets chewed away at by competitors and alternatives. Now, I think the SaaS piece will still be there. People will still use the database, but that's only 20% of their revenue. So they would take an 80% market cap hit, which would be devastating. That's the bear case. Another bear case is the vibe code argument. And the vibe code argument kind of it's kind of a middle problem, right? So if there's a pyramid of users on Shopify with the biggest Shopify retailer at the top, and then the smallest one at the base of that pyramid, the smallest Shopify retailers don't need the inventory system. They don't need 90% or 95, 88%. And you're starting to see Lovable, Replit, and all the vibe coding platforms come out. Now, many of them will support vibe coding on Shopify, but they also have a cut Shopify out of the loop or don't even use Shopify parallel path. And it's a very easy, so you can imagine a day where the bulk of people that are small and even some of the big ones, they have 6 to 10 SKUs, and they're just basically using Shopify as a way to sell on Instagram or TikTok. That doesn't really add a lot of value in there, and those are the people that could move that GMV off. Now, it's a small part of the GMV because a lot of that's at the top. Conversely, a lot of the hyperscalers are looking at this. You can imagine a set of AWS, Google Cloud Compute, and Azure capabilities put together that would peel off some of the largest customers as well. So then Shopify would be stuck with kind of the middle, the folks that are not big enough to go into a hyperscaler thing and they don't have the capability to, but also not small enough but also not so small that they could just vibe code it. So that's the bear case on Shopify. There's much more meat on the bone there than there is the Amazon. And then what always trumps it for me is the Amazon fulfillment centers.